Alright, cool. Let's do another timer. And then we will actually just jump back in. Excuse me. That's going to be so weird. I know it is. I'm so sorry about that. Just wanted to do another look at this collection and kind of like an overview. A grand overview, if you will, of what's collected and put together here in this amazing collection. So thank you for popping back in. Part 2 of, like I said, just this X-Men MaXimum collection. I guess it's more of a Marvel MaXimum collection of games, but my whole thing has been walking down memory lane back in 1993, getting an X-Men video game for Sega Genesis, being that it's Easter Sunday, jumping back into all of this. It's very, very exciting and just really cool to take a look at some of this cover art, box art that we have going on. I'm not sure what this is. This might be the actual arcade panels that we're looking at. I mean, that could be the front and back of a booklet, maybe. Kind of looks like it could be a Genesis booklet, perhaps. Well, no, these are boxes. Hold on. What would that be? I don't know. I guess it maybe could be the front and back of like a Genesis or Super Nintendo. I don't know. It's really cool though. Got that old school. Got that old school art. But yeah, this has been really fun. Like I say, growing up, X-Men was one of my favorite games, and I got a really cool story also kind of surrounding that title and just that whole gaming experience. That was actually one of those games where I almost regretted getting it. But I do, like, that's just a memory that stands out in my head. Is Easter 1993, my dad picking up the X-Men video game instead of getting me an Easter basket, which, to his credit, was a genius move. That was one of my favorite video games. I had the whatchamacallit, one of the ads on my wall was a really cool. It's like, I think it was like almost a double page spread in a magazine. Some really wild art, almost like this painting style brushstroke art of X-Men and Wolverine slicing through the pages and everything. And that game really stood out to me. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to jump back into some X-Men games. And then, as I was stating before, I'm also excited just to jump into some overall Marvel. This is going to be a lot of fun going through playing some of these titles that I've never played before, but also going through and finishing some titles that I have in my collection that I've either never played before or that I haven't completed. So either way, this should be a lot of fun. Wait a minute, hold on. Is that the Sega CD? Or is that just... Oh, okay, that's a different region. Alright. It's like Sega CD had a blue border on their box art. So for a minute I was like, wait a minute, I know that's Sega. Because theirs was red, but I guess maybe in different regions it was blue. Super Nintendo, all of their stuff came in boxes. Genesis had like clamshells. I think they were like one of the first to kind of introduce that idea of like having a clamshell case for your media. Up until that point, Nintendo did a lot of boxes, which made it hard to keep those. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, if you remember growing up, you would almost, when it came to your Nintendo titles and your, oh my god, I got Clueless on in the background, and she just fell down the stairs. That's hilarious. I love that part. Did anybody see? Nobody saw. Everybody saw. Okay, I'm sorry. I love this movie. It's freaking hilarious. I put this on last night just to kind of like chill out and relax, and I actually got super sucked into. This is like the third time I've had it on in the background, just like doing stuff, and I keep getting sucked into this movie. It's freaking, I love it. It's so bad too. Like, oh my god, the 90s are so awful. When it comes to some of the movies, like there's a teen suicide attempt, and the like teachers making fun of it. The homosexuality, like the character, the gay dude, it's like just the references and the remarks to his character is awful. Definitely one of those movies, like if you put it on today, the teens would be like, oh my god, this isn't right. But it's such a good movie. I think we all knew it was all on humor, you know, like the whole thing even starts off and she's like, what is this, a MaXimum commercial? And it's like they're poking fun of themselves, like they know it is. It's nothing more than just like a Stridex ad, you know, it's awesome, I love it. Oh man, we got a bunch of stuff in here. I got the, again, see this is a Game Boy, so you got the Game Boy box. And so like I said, I don't know, I feel like most of us, we would just take the game out the box. We would have like, sometimes back in the day, like carrying cases for your Game Boy games, or kind of like you'd have like CD racks for your, you know, CDs and stuff growing up. We would have like actual, like video game, what were they called? I don't even know what they were called now. We would have them for like VHS tapes. I don't know, they were like little caddies or little cabinets, little organizers. They were crazy. They were like the size of a VCR, if not bigger, usually bigger. They would have like 3 drawers, and you would like keep your VHS tapes in there, and then they would have some kind of design. The same thing, like you would open up the top and keep all your Nintendo games, or like a rack. You could slide your Nintendo games in. Some of us would sometimes even just keep them on a shelf, you know, in a room or something like that. But very rarely did I feel like we keep the boxes. And then it's kind of hard to tell what this is. So this is actually kind of like a sleeve, and you could pull this out. It's like a DVD sleeve or a Blu-ray sleeve or anything else like that. You can like open up, you know, you get like a PlayStation game or something. You open up the case, you can pull that sleeve out of the plastic case. And so this is like the front half, and then that red part would fold around the edge. So that's what would kind of set out on the bookshelf. And then that would be like the back of the game and kind of show you the art and everything like that. And then these would rest on the shelves in the video store, and this is what we would look at and say, do I want to rent this? And we see the cover and go, oh, that looks cool, and then we'd flip over the back of the box, and we would look at this stuff here and go, okay. And like this is kind of like what we would base, like what we would want to play the game, like okay. That looks cool. Oh, boom, here we go. So that's what I talk about, that pink, purple candy stripe. I don't know what that was about, but it was on the box of, like, the Game Gear came in. It was on all the little booklets, all the boxing. It was such a weird color scheme to go with. And again, here, like, so, you know, you go to the store, you pick up the back of the box, and this is what you would look at. Marvel Comics action at your fingertips. Let's see what this says here. Let's actually read, kind of jump in to see what this says here. Only you can save Spider-Man and the X-Men when they're taken for a deadly ride in Arcade's diabolical amusement park. You'll battle killer clowns, hungry piranhas, orbs of doom, and deadly robot doubles of supervillains like Carnage and the Juggernaut. Roll Spidey's webs, Wolverine's claws, Gambit's kinetically charged cards, Storm's lightning bolts, and Cyclops' optic blast be enough to stop Arcade's insane assault? Or is this game over for Spidey and the X-Men? That depends on you. Get out of here with that. This game sucks. I've played this game. I don't know what I've played it on before. I can't remember. I feel like it's on another collection, or I might even have it somewhere. I don't know. But that's an awful game. Like, you can't just play through as different characters. You have to, like, each character has their own level. It's so weird. And then this is one of those most brutal of the games. But look at that. That's really beautiful, actually. That is freaking gorgeous. Look at that. The board, the planets in the background, the comet shooting. That is really gorgeous. I would probably buy the game just based off of that. What? High over the roof of the world. That's a weird way to put it. High over the roof of the world, he soars free and unfettered. I can't even. That's the roaring wind itself. What is that? Behold, the sky-born spanner of a million galaxies, the restless, streaking stranger from the farthest reaches of space, this glistening, gleaming seeker of truth, whom man shall forever call the Silver Surfer. Wow. Yeah, I've heard this is like one of the most brutal games available out there. So we got some advertisements here for Maximum Carnage. These would appear in magazines and things of that nature. Something I was kind of talking about too, like I was mentioning the X-Men game. That was almost I do kind of remember this. I feel like this was in the back of a comic book. In the back of like a Spider-Man comic or something like that. I felt like there was like a multi-page spread on this here somewhere in the back of like probably Spider-Man. Or maybe one of the Venom books back in the day. But yeah, you would have like magazines and comics and stuff, and that's kind of where you would see these like different ads. And it was enough to get us excited and want us to play these games. Like, I wish they had the X-Men title that I had gotten for Easter. They had some of the coolest art. Because I had a poster on my wall. I wanted that game. I mean, I was begging for weeks and weeks, even before like it came out. Like I said, we just had Christmas. My birthday had just come and gone, and I'm like, oh man, why couldn't they have released this game like... It's only got one ad. I don't remember this game at all. Like, even this, I would be really surprised to flip through one of my comics from this era and see this ad somewhere. I just don't remember this getting a lot of push in North America. I wonder if it was. I wonder if it had a North American release. I don't know. Maybe. I'm sure it did. This got all. I do remember this ad. I've seen this ad. And this one. Double page spread there. That I've seen many times. But yeah, I remember getting the X-Men game after wanting it for so long and actually being like, oh man, I think I made a mistake. And you know, I kind of mentioned like magazines and advertisements, but magazines, and this was something I'm going to talk a little bit and go a little bit more depth in probably another video as well. And as we kind of go through some of these retro games and what it was like, but that's actually really cool. The way of gaming back then was really interesting. That art, man, that is it right there. I love that image. That is so cool. I'd love to have that as like a poster or something like that. That is really amazing. But the way of like playing games back in the day was really interesting because, you know, today there's nowhere to like rent or just try all the play. Like, you know, you just go on your system's web store. I can't even, what am I thinking of? Online store, web store. Yeah, the Webernet has an online informational highway. You just go on like your little, like, you know, your online PlayStation store, your like, you know, Xbox or whatever, go to Steam and just pick these things up. But you know, there was a time when you could go to the store and rent these things and pick these things up. And there's this really cool, like, speaking of symbiotes, symbiote relationship between like gaming magazines and video games that's been lost today. But it really would dictate how you might even like rent or play, or what titles you rent or play. What I mean by that too is you might buy a magazine simply because there are some games at the video store that have cheat codes in there. And so, you know, you're going to buy that magazine specifically so you can go and rent those games at some point and try out these codes for Urban Strike and Comic Zone or Sonic the Hedgehog 2 or whatever it is. Or you might rent a title at the video game store because you've got a magazine at home that's got a cheat code in there for it. You're like, oh, let me try this out. And so it's just a really weird way of like renting games or like buying like media or magazine. You know, sometimes I might even just like go to the grocery store and like I'll see a magazine that's got a cheat code. Well, I'm just going to write it down, or maybe tear the page out of the book and keep it, you know, at home with all my other cheat codes and stuff. You might find something that you want to rent because now it's like, oh, I got this video game magazine that's got these cheat codes in it. You know, we had like, there was like 3 major ones too. There was like Electronic Gaming Monthly, EGM, Game Pro, and Tips and Tricks. And so then it's like, you know, you buy this magazine that's got all these cool cheat codes, and it's like, oh man, I'm going to try this cool cheat code out for Desert Strike. And then now it's like, well, Desert Strike's not available. It's like there's a new cheat code in for Mortal Kombat. Well, like, oh, now I gotta wait for Mortal Kombat just so I can try this code out. And I just remember not being able to actually even get past a certain level of the X-Men game without a freaking magazine, man. Like I said, I've wanted this game for so long, and when I say so long, it probably only been like about a couple of months or something like that. But it seemed like forever as a young teen growing up. Like I said, just being a huge fan of the X-Men, the comics, the animated series. They had some really cool action figures starting to kind of come out at that point. There was trading cards galore. I mean, like the early '90s was. I mean, that's Generation X right there. I mean, that's that's Generation X for sure. Because of the X-Men too, it's just like it oozes every orifice. It was everything. It was everywhere. It was like there was games coming out. There was so much stuff, and to be able to play your favorite property at home on that, it was such a cool game, such a neat idea. But I remember finally getting it for Easter, and this is really cool. I wish they did more stuff like this. This is really neat. Oh, this little cool. Like a compilation, telephone numbers, when this stuff was kind of like put together, any comments. That's really cool. But yeah, as I started playing this game, you get through the first few levels and it was really fun, and all the cool characters and the action, the powers was all there. And then all of a sudden you get to a certain point and you just really couldn't get any further. And I just remember being really frustrated, almost giving up on the game, like, I don't even know if I want to play this anymore. And I don't mean to a sense of like, oh, I tried it out a couple of times and then, just like put it, I mean, like every day coming home and not being able to figure this out. And if it hadn't been for GamePro or Electronic Gaming Monthly, whatever it was, I don't think I would have figured out how to have beaten that game. But what we're going to do is, oh, they got a music player too. Oh, this is really cool. So they got the arcade, 8-bit, X-Men, hold on, 8-bit, arcade, Mega, I got Carnage. Oh, Carnage on the Super Drive. This is really cool. But we're going to come back. We are going to definitely play some X-Men, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit, because it wasn't until I bought a magazine that I was even able to figure out what I was supposed to be doing in this game. And it was such a wild idea, but again, and it was, like I said, it was like this really odd relationship, almost like gaming developers, would develop these games, and then after a few weeks or so, a month or so, these gaming magazines would start to leak out the information to kind of help you get through these. It's like, let's give them a couple of weeks, let's give them a couple of months. If they can't figure it out, we'll throw some cheat codes in a magazine, help them along the way, give them some walkthroughs. And like I said, it kind of started with like Nintendo Power and like, you know, um, that I think came from these games trying to be challenging, and sometimes and more often than not being more challenging than fun. And so then it became this thing, well, we got to give them some insight into how to get through some of this, because these games are a lot more cryptic, than we thought. But it was a really cool, like you'd almost need to buy magazines sometimes in order to get through certain levels of certain. I mean, I feel like that ran through like PlayStation era to like 2, 3, the GameCube kind of era, like having these Nintendo Power walkthroughs and layouts and maps and just different, like how to collect all the certain these coins or these discs or these things to get you the extra weapon and the special boot. It was really that doesn't now. It's like watch a walkthrough, watch somebody play the game and get through it and kind of show you how to do all these things. Uh, but there was a really cool day of, like I said, just kind of having these magazines and these companions to to help you get through some of this stuff. So I'm gonna go do some clipping, some editing on these first little two pieces, just kind of checking out this overview. But this is a really cool collection, really, really awesome. Some fun titles, some stuff I've never played. Again, I wish they kind of had some of the X-Men, like the Clone Wars that they did, which was like a sequel to the original X-Men game that I got in the '93s for the Genesis. And I don't think that game came to um, like Super Nintendo or anything else. I think those two titles were like Genesis, Master System, Sega specific. But at any rate, thanks for hanging in. Thanks for tubing in. Thank you for liking, because I know you did. Thank you for sharing, because I know you did that too. And I want to thank you for subscribing. Thanks for the comment that you left down below. And again, hope you guys have an awesome Easter. Thanks for just listening to some of these rambles. And take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Until next time, don't spend that quarter anywhere else. And we're coming back with some actual arcade action in just a bit.